Good evening and welcome to the Biz RoundUp. I'm Chamat Fernando and we at our television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's have a look at the headlines. Ties on tourism and apparel to be strengthened between Saudi Arabia and Sri Lanka. Positive GDP growth predicted for the future, Central Bank Governor says. Sri Lanka attracts nearly $2 billion in FDIs, Subject Minister reveals. Now the news in detail. Sri Lanka and Saudi Arabia held bilateral talks prioritizing strengthening of ties in garments and tourism sectors. Measures to boost ties came up when the visiting Saudi Arabia's economy and planning ministers Faisal F. Al Ibrahim met with President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat recently.
During the discussions, Minister Faisal F. Al Ibrahim emphasized Saudi Arabia's keen interest in strengthening economic ties with Sri Lanka across various sectors, including garments and tourism. The minister elucidated that his government was focused on expanding economic relations within the region and regarded Sri Lanka with significant importance. President Wickremesinghe welcomed the minister's comments, asserting that Sri Lanka is actively promoting enhanced cooperation in Asia, including West Asia. The president further highlighted that the tourism and agriculture sectors were areas open to greater investment, as the country is committed to modernizing these domains. Accompanying the president were the secretary to the president, Saman Ekanayake, and the director of international affairs to the president, Dinu Kolambage.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said that the GDP growth will be marginally positive for the fourth quarter of this year. Governor Veerasinghe also expressed convinced in getting assurance from the official creditors on order to complete the first review by the IMF within the next month. Governor Veerasinghe said this speaking at a press conference held in Colombo recently.
Continuous declining in GDP growth on quarterly basis happened up to Q2 of this year, but what we see Q3 and Q4 on quarterly basis or year-on-year quarterly growth will be marginally positive. But given the whole year, because we have a large negative growth in Q1 and some negative growth in Q2, so overall still will be marginally negative this year. But going forward, the next year onwards, I'm sure our expectation is that we will move into a whole year the positive growth territory, but numbers still too early. We have to wait and see what are the Q3 numbers and Q4 numbers, and on that basis we will rise. I don't think we should talk about the specific dates, but I am confident that we are making very good progress, and we will get assurances from all official creditors soon for the financial assurances that we need for us to complete the first review, the IMF, within the next month. That certainly will happen. So that's where we are moving in the right direction, and we will see a very positive outcome.
Sri Lanka approved a proposal by China's Sinopec to build a $4.5 billion refinery, making it the largest single investment in the island nation since the economic crisis last year. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara took to X, which was formerly known as Twitter, to make this announcement recently.
The cabinet approval cleared Sinopec to finalize project's details and sign an agreement with the government before it starts building the export-oriented refinery at Hambantota. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara wrote that cabinet approval was granted to award the contract to China Petroleum and Chemical Corporation of China. China is Sri Lanka's biggest bilateral lender, and its companies have built highways, sea and airports and other infrastructure projects on the island of India's southern coast. For Sinopec, the world's top refinery by capacity and one of the largest petrochemicals producers, the investment marks its expansion beyond China's borders. The company also owns refinery assets in Saudi Arabia and petrochemicals production in Russia. Iran built Sri Lanka's only refinery at Sapugaskanda in the west of the country in 1969, a refinery that can process 38,000 barrels of oil per day.
The Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said, Sri Lanka utilizes cash deposits held in state banks to settle a portion of bond auctions, especially if the government deems bid yield to be in line with market rates. The governor said this speaking to journalists at an event held in Colombo last week.
During the recent bond auction, only 73 billion rupees out of the targeted 250 billion rupees was sold, sparking speculation about the settlement methods employed. The governor clarified that the Treasury no longer relies on monetary financing in these auctions, highlighting a positive shift in financial strategies. He said the Treasury has built up a buffer ensuring smoother handling of any shortfalls in both weekly and monthly auctions. Dr. Veerasinghe stated that the general practice was to notify the government's financial needs of the market ahead of time through weekly bill auctions and bond auctions. He added that the government can decide to accept or reject a certain rate if deemed appropriate or not with market rates based on the government buffer. He emphasized the effective utilization of this buffer indicates a proactive approach to managing cash flow in government securities through market forces.
Stay tuned, we will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. A four-member Sri Lankan family who was stranded in the Gaza safely arrived in Sri Lanka on November 24, 2023. The Consular Affairs Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs facilitated the repatriation of the family. Upon their arrival in Colombo, officials from the Foreign Ministry received the returning Sri Lankans.
The officials from the Sri Lankan embassy in Cairo, working in coordination with the Egyptian authorities, visited the Rafah border between Egypt and Gaza and received the stranded Sri Lankans. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs facilitated the arrangements of logistics and air transportation for the returnees with the assistance of the International Organization for Migration. A total number of 15 Sri Lankans have been rescued from the Gaza Strip through Rafah border and they were safely repatriated to Sri Lanka. These efforts came into fruition through coordination with Sri Lanka missions in Cairo and Ramallah since the beginning of the recent crisis on October 7.
Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara said that if the Electricity Board realizes any operating profit by December, the gains will be allocated to consumers in April. Furthermore, Minister Kanchana highlighted that given the prevailing rain conditions, it is anticipated that there may be a positive turn in the financial outlook of the CEB. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said this during a press briefing at the Presidential Media Centre last Saturday. The minister said that the cabinet approval and the proposed new electricity bill marks a crucial step towards the enhancement of the electricity sector in alignment with national objectives. The minister also said that measures are underway to officially gazette and submit the new Electricity Act to Parliament within the upcoming 2 weeks. The minister added that the intention is to facilitate a comprehensive debate on the proposed act in the parliamentary sessions scheduled for January of the following year. The minister further added that the management of power plants situated in close proximity to Mahaweli, Lakshapana and Samanlavawa will be retained by the government. Wijesekara added that it has been decided to consolidate the Norachole power plant under a single company while all other power plants will be grouped together under a separate entity. Minister Kanchana added that the restructuring of the Electricity Board is anticipated to make improvements in efficiency, quality and reduction of wastage. He further added that the continuity of the Public Utilities Commission is expected to remain unchanged, operating in a manner consistent with current practices. Speaking at the event, the minister also said that as part of the government's strategic initiatives, 5 significant power plant projects have been identified for immediate implementation. The minister said that the government plans to sign agreements for 5 more projects before the end of the current year. The forthcoming agreements includes a wind power plant in Mana, solar panel power plant in Siamlandu and Hambantota, and also projects proposed for Batiklo and Ponakari. The minister said that the nation has suffered the loss of numerous power plants as a consequence of delayed policy decisions and prolonged non-implementation. He said the construction of the Sampur power plant, which has been under consideration, faced a significant setback when the decision was made in 2016 to forego its construction. The minister emphasized that the Sampur power plant, which was slated for completion in 2020, has resulted in an annual loss of 95 billion rupees due to the non-realization. The minister further said that the government has issued instructions to the relevant departments to reassess the fee for reconnection following a power cut. He said that it is anticipated that the current reconnection fee of 3,000 rupees will be revised for a range between 1,000 rupees and 2,000 rupees. The minister went on to say that this adjustment is aimed at ensuring a more reasonable and accessible reconnection process for consumers. Stay tuned, we will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. State Minister Dilum Amanugama revealed Sri Lanka has attracted $1.8 billion of foreign direct investment so far in 2023 despite external and internal setbacks last Friday. The Investment Promotion State Minister said the significant increase in projects is due to the high value of investment in the energy sector. Investments such as Adani Corporation, Sinopec, RM Parks with Shell, and further sectors such as ITC, BPO, tourism and manufacturing are the sectors getting more investments. Countries such as China, India, US, UAE, France, Korea, Germany and Singapore are the destinations invested during 2023, he added. According to the State Minister, the baseline forecast is for global growth to slow to 3% in 2023 and 2.9% in 2024. He emphasized that the government's far-sighted and politically unpopular economic stabilization measurement has provided a much-needed foundation for reforms in the institutional and regulatory. He said that the significant achievement of curbing the acceleration cost of living, which has resulted in the single digit of inflation from 74% in 2022 to 1.5% in October 2023. State Minister for Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya met trade union leaders, the National Youth Service Council, youth organizations and civil society activities to discuss the forthcoming 2024 budget proposals. The meeting was convened at the Presidential Secretariat on the 27th of November.
The President's Senior Advisor on Food Security, Saman Ratnapriya, and Senior Advisor to the President on Economic Affairs, Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga, was also present in this meeting. Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga emphasized inclusion of substantial long-term reforms in the budget, aligning with the goal of elevating Sri Lanka to a high-income nation by 2048. Dr. Samaratunga also articulated the imperative of attaining economic stability and positioning the country competitively with the global economy. To this end, a 4-year program developed in consultation with the International Monetary Fund has been instituted to revitalize the nation's economy. During the session, detailed elucidation was provided on the proposed strategies to revive the country's economy. These encompass the allowance to government employees, granting free land rights to farmers, bolstering government infrastructure and fostering the growth of local entrepreneurs. State Minister for Finance Ranjit Siambalapitiya further elaborated on the specifics of the 2024 budget proposals and outlined the short-term and long-term benefits envisaged for the country.
Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manusha Nanaikara said that the Foreign Employment Bureau is looking forward to contribute 4 billion rupees to government revenue from its operating profit for the quarter. The minister said this speaking at an event held at the Foreign Employment Bureau premises earlier this week.
විදේශ සේවා නියුක්ති කාර්යාංශයේ ගිය අවුරුද්දේ බිලියන ගණනාවක් ලාභ ලබද්දී අපි කිව්ව දේ තමයි සුබ සාධනයටයි අපි අංක එක දෙන්නේ. මේ අවුරුද්දෙත් අපි ඒ විදියටම ලාභයක් ලබනවා. ලියන්වල මහත්මයාට තව ටික දවසකින් ඒ තොරතුරු කියන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. ඒ ලාභය ලබද්දී මේ විදේශ සේවා නියුක්ති කාර්යාංශයේ ලබන ලාභ වලින් මේ අවුරුද්දේ මුල් කාර්තුවේදී අපි බිලියන 3ක් රජයට ලබා දුන්නා. මේ බියුරෝ එකේ පඩි නඩි සේරම ගෙවලා සියලු වැඩ කටයුතු කරලා බිලියන 3ක මුදලක් මේ අවුරුද්දේ මුලදී රජයට බාර දුන්නා. රටට බෙහෙත් ගේන්න, රාජ්‍ය සේවකයෝන්ගේ පඩි ගෙවන්න, සුබ සාධන කටයුතු වලට රටේ අනිත් මිනිස්සුන්ගේ සමෘද්ධි ගෙවන්න අපි බිලියන 3ක් මේ අවුරුද්දේ මුලින් දුන්නා. දැන් මේ අවුරුද්දේ අපි තවත් බිලියන 4ක මුදලක් සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා. චෙක් එක ලියලා තියෙනවා. ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ අතට ගෙනහිල්ලා දෙන්න. රටේ තවත් පඩි ගෙවන්න මේ දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ පඩි ගෙවන්න අපි තවත් බිලියන 4ක් ලෑස්ති කරලා තියෙනවා ගෙවන්න ලබා දෙන්න. මේකේ මූලික සාධකය කවුද? මේ ලාභ ලබන්න මූලික සාධකේ මොකක් හරහාද මේ ලාභ ලැබෙන්නේ? විදේශගත ශ්‍රමිකයෝ නිසා. එහෙමනම් විදේශගත ශ්‍රමිකයොන්ට පනතෙන්ම පැවරිච්ච බලතල ප්‍රකාරව ඔබේ සුබ සාධනයට, ඔබේ ආරක්ෂාවට, ඔබ නැවත ලංකාවට ආවම වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න විදේශ සේවා නියුක්ති කාර්යාංශය විශාල වැඩ කොටසක් කරනවා. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් සුවිශේෂී මුදලකුත් වියදම් කරනවා. හැබැයි අපි කල්පනා කළා මේ අවුරුද්ද සුබ සාධනයේ වර්ෂයම කරන්න ඕනි. අපි මේ අවුරුද්දේ පුළුවන් තරම් මුදලක් අපේ විදේශගත වන ශ්‍රමිකයන්ගේ සුබ සාධනයට තවත් පහුගිය අවුරුදු වල වැඩි කරාට වඩා වැඩි මුදලක් මේ අවුරුද්දේ වෙන් කරන්න ඕනි කියලා.
With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe our channel on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.